Hello, and welcome to our YouTube and podcast, Citiesabc.com YouTubecast. My name is Dinesh Guarda, and here we are again to talk with global leaders and thought leaders that are changing the world and making a lot of new directions and narratives and visions in terms of how can we save more solution or create more solutions for the problems we're facing, but as well look at the challenge that we are presently facing as humans, and as well the questions that we need to ask and the answers, and as well how can we think bigger and out of the box and make the world a better place. In this series we've been interviewing and profiling global thought leaders, ministers, book authors, policymakers, CEOs, and as well we've been precisely talking how digital transformation technology is shaping the world we live, and as well we can actually use these technology tools, especially when it comes to the fourth industrial revolution, society 5.0, to make better directions and create better narratives, and as well more concrete solutions for the day-to-day lives that we're facing. With COVID-19 there's a lot of challenges we're facing, and I think from society 5.0 to the fourth industrial revolution, blockchain, AI, cryptocurrencies and crypto, a lot of solutions are coming, but there's a lot of myths and we're trying to demystify this. So this podcast and videos are part of the platform we are creating, and it's been already quite successful, Citiesabc.com. That is a new 5.0 society platform for cities, and as well the citizens and the organizations around the platforms. So today we have with us Anndy Lian, that is a global thought leader and an all-around business strategist with over 15 years of experience in Asia mostly, but as well with a global footprint. He's been acting as an advisory in multiple different industries, both local and quasi-government linked organizations. He's as well been supporting startups and incubating them, and as well in some cases investing in especially startups related with health-related companies. And as well is a global thought leader in the area of blockchain and digital currencies, and as well emerging technologies. And he serves as advisory board member for HDAC, so Hyundai DAC technology, the blockchain arm of South Korea's largest car manufacturer, Hyundai Motor Group, and as well is an advisor for the Asean Productivity Organization, an Inter-Governmental regional organization established by convention in 1961 by several governments in Asia to hasten their economical development. And as well is an author that has been writing and highlighting and the idea of thought leadership, especially around the blockchain technology, and as well understanding how these can actually create new solutions for the global markets, for the technology, and as well, especially the relationship between governments and industries and all the different areas. His book, one of his last books was published by Kyovo Book Center, the largest bookstore in a chain in South Korea, and together with co-authors Park Young-suk and Shuok Amnison, probably I spelled it wrong, share insights on the blockchain industry. So welcome to our series. It's a pleasure to have you here, Andy. And I'm quite excited to talk with you for the next time.
Likewise. How's things in London?
Yeah, London is great. Of course, we are still all struggling with the COVID-19 challenges, but I think we're coming back to normality. So to start, I want to start by asking you a bit about your background. And I think as South Korea has been one of the emerging economies in the last actually 30 years or 40, and it's been as well reinventing itself as a cutting edge technology powerhouse that has been actually passing most of the world global powers, and now has taken to the world actually multiple different global brands, from technology, mobile phones, to actually pop music and film. It's been actually leading a lot of different things. So I'm quite curious, and as well you have a lot of footprint. So can you tell us a bit about yourself, your education, and as well background as a person as well over there?
I'm from Singapore, but I spend most of my time in the regional countries. So looking at the last 10 years, maybe 10, 12 years, I spent most of my time in countries like South Korea, Japan, Australia at times in the earlier 2000s, and of course Hong Kong, China are places that we often run our businesses there, and a lot of good friends are in Hong Kong. So for myself, I started my journey in the blockchain space in 2017. That was the time where I founded a supply chain company called Linfinity. I have since stepped down as the founder and CEO in 2019, and I've joined the Asian Productivity Organization as the blockchain advisor. That is actually there's actually a story behind this. I joined the government because I realized that there are a lot of scams running around. Since 2017, 2018, a lot of money lost and so forth. I wanted to do more for this space. So if you look at my profile, I am with APO as the blockchain advisor that is already Inter-Governmental, is between 22 countries. And then I'm also an advisor to the governor of Gyeongsangbuk province in South Korea. Together with friends like Brock Pierce, Alexis, and so forth, we give advice to government to see how we could use blockchain technology and cryptocurrency to a bigger agenda. Not so much of a speculative front. We want people to be more educated in this space. So that's something that I do. And then most recently, I'm being appointed as the board member for the Hyundai DAC. This is a blockchain arm of the very famous car maker, automotive player Hyundai. So they have a big footprint in the whole manufacturing business, all the way to the tech business. So being part of it would be a very fun thing to do, and also will be a very fulfilling a milestone for my career. So maybe a bit more about myself. I during the 2008, 2018, I started to look at blockchain companies. So I have invested into a few companies. One of them is a media group. Another is a due diligence company that help investors look at better investment opportunities, real investment opportunities. We dig a lot into the profile of some of the companies that they invest. And then lastly, I am also a small shareholder in a tech company as well, where we try to do as much as possible to build solutions at a lower price that is made affordable. So my background is as such, for the last 5 years, have been an investor, has invested into the medical scene before embarking onto the blockchain space. I was also the managing director of the biggest Singapore business federation, based in Southeast Asia, based in Singapore. I'm the managing director. We have the biggest base of business contact, under our arm. If you look way backwards, I'm also a director with the Singapore Institute of International Affairs. There's a lot of different things you can Google about me online, actually. So last five years is all about blockchain.
It's quite impressive, and actually, your background both in Singapore and South Korea, but as well all over Asia, is amazing, because I think one of the things you achieved that is quite unique on the blockchain industry is making a positive bridge between the work in blockchain and digital currencies, and as well institutional organizations, governments that are doing a lot of work on that. So I have, I think before we go to a couple of questions about Linfinity and different organizations that have been working, Just on that background and your education in Singapore, and as well then your international profile in South Korea and all Asia, because it's a very diverse ecosystem. You have a lot of different dynamics from governments. Of course, when it comes to Singapore, you are one of, I think, number one most dynamic and competitive economy in the world. South Korea as well is in the top. So how do you see these dynamics, and as well your background, education, even university background, and as well the work you've been doing right now, working with these different countries, before we go to the blockchain and your career achievements?
What I've done in the last decade, from what I've done in Singapore, building up a think tank, building a business federation and so forth. I think all this experience brought me to a conclusion, of sharing the right kind of business mindset with my fellow Singaporeans. That is also one big reason why I have stepped out from my comfort zone, which is in Singapore, and started to build a lot of other things in different countries, different languages, and so forth. Because I felt that, in this current space, whether it's blockchain or not blockchain, I hope that my fellow Singaporeans or my friends in the Southeast Asia environment do get the best kind of knowledge and information and insights. So I put myself out in the market, learning different new things, trying to invest in different kind of businesses, outside of Singapore, with the main reason, and one of the main reasons is that I hope to bring the right kind of knowledge to Singapore. If you again look at some of the things that happened recently, again, it's a bit blockchain and cryptocurrency related. I do realize that a lot of my Singaporean friends, especially during the last 6 months, where the lockdown happens in Singapore. I stayed in Singapore most of the time. I talked to my friends, reconnected back with them. I realized a lot of them got into very serious scams. I'm not talking about a few $1,000s, some of which is in the millions. So you just imagine if today if I spend more time in Singapore telling them what is right and what is wrong, from a business perspective, because some of them they invest in the projects like a normal angel investor and VC. I hope to pass them that kind of knowledge so that they could avoid getting into that kind of scams in the later stages. Because a few 100,000 may be a small amount to some, but the bad aftertaste of getting scammed is really bad. So I travel around, I see things very differently, and I do not like to stay put at a certain a place for too long, even for things that I invest in, because I just felt that when I pass the knowledge down to them, and I get the right kind of returns from it, it's time for me to leave. So this goes back to my background. I studied business administration. During my diploma days. I took on a mass communication degree, and then subsequently an MBA. All these things give me a nice paper qualification, a good way, a good door opener to talk to more people, and also give me the right path forward being a business person right now, and also a government person, because it has been very dear to me that like a new industry, like the crypto market right now, the most important aspect of things to drive us forward is actually the governments. So that's the reason why I shifted from being a business guy all the way into the government, so that I could make more influence and share with them the right kind of a message and information about blockchain and cryptocurrency.
Yeah, this is a very big focus of the industry, and I think it's a big point. I want to touch that because it's becoming more and more important, actually, and I think especially as the industry becomes more mature and bigger, I don't think it's just about the cryptocurrency industry, but the cryptocurrency is a kind of a fame that is not necessarily always the positive one. And I think that work that you're doing is critical to create, first of all, awareness, but second as well to educate governments and associations. You've been working with since creating Linfinity, and I would like probably to start with Linfinity, which became a big organization. So can you tell us a bit about the background of Linfinity and how did you create that organization that became quite prestigious and the company? And then from that, you went to advise all this different impressive list of global organizations, especially in Asia.
So Linfinity is actually mooted, the idea mooted in 2017. Things got a lot more serious in 2018, where we realized that one of the biggest use case for blockchain technology is actually in the supply chain space. So we started to develop solutions for the supply chain space, working very closely with a few brands, with a few clients back then, alcohol clients, tobacco clients, and we developed a nice framework, a nice software for the tracing and tracing and basically authentication of products. That is in 2018. Most of the time where we did a lot of publicity, a lot of push and so forth. But things have actually died down a lot in that space. Why do I say that? Because things has really matured a lot since 2018. So that was the Linfinity past. And again, one thing to highlight, back in 2018, we did not do any ICOs, where we never raised millions of hundreds of millions of funds and so forth, a lot of which we depended on the kind of business acumen that we have in the business context that we have. So that was quite a journey, because back in 2018, many of the companies are all overwhelmed and very much into the business of fundraising and ICOs, and then what's next. So we are one of the few companies which did very well, and we have not gotten any form of ICO fundings. So when I left the organization in 2019, everything is still nice, everything is cordial and so forth. But I left because of the calling from the government. We did a couple of things with the government. In fact, I can't disclose the identity or the country, but we did a few good pilot trials for the government on how to implement the blockchain technology into their current supply chain system. So that was also how I got to know of Asian Productivity Organization. We signed a MOU together to explore some of this blockchain framework. And then eventually, when I step out from Linfinity, they say, "Hey man, why not give us some advice?" So that was how the whole conversation started. And since then, to be real honest, the work that is being done from a government standpoint is a lot more precious than me running a company, because within a government setup, and especially when I talk about inter-government, there's a lot of relationships to handle. There's also a lot of a bigger agenda that is that can help the crypto industry or the blockchain industry. Why am I saying that? You look at the current framework, that is being panned out, in different countries and so forth. Cryptocurrency is still something that is fairly taboo for some countries, and then for some they are more advanced. But again, they only look good on the paper, on the news, and so forth. They have not really pushed themselves through the different floodgates of cryptocurrency. So right now we are just in the very beginning, and a lot of the work and legislation kind of work that is being done are all properly documented, and it is actually um, a very insightful kind of experience so far, because government will talk to you and see you as an expert on the subject matter, and then from there, they formulate the different plans, the different papers together, and then some of which they finally, pass a bill on some of these regulations. And to me, I think these are big achievements, big achievements for myself, big achievements for the governmental groups, and then also is a big achievement for businesses, because ultimately, in order for the bill to pass and work on very well, in the next 5 to 10 years, the businesses must benefit from that. If the business benefit from this whole tokenized model or tokenization model or the commercialized model from this token, what's going to happen is cryptocurrency is going to grow, blockchain technology is going to be widely adopted. So these are some of the things that we put forth very strongly, as a government advisor, and also as a technologist or futurist. We kept trying to push the blockchain and crypto agenda to the right kind of businesses, where they will, without too much of a change, benefit their current business with the adoption of a new technology. That is my main aim, actually.
So one of the things we're facing right now is that definitely blockchain is emergent, and it's probably I would say after AI, the most powerful technology in the world in terms of foundational technologies. But if you look at first of all, starting with digital transformation, there's a huge lack of even very basic digital transformation capacity by most of the governments. I would say that we are still on the paper technology. So you've been working with some of the leading governments in these areas, like Singapore, where you're based, and as well with South Korea, even Japan, that have great strategies for these areas. But if you look at the rest of the world economy, we still very lack in terms of any basic strategies. And as well, if you look even in terms of blockchain, I think the only countries that really have a strategy in blockchain probably is China, a bit South Korea, Singapore as well, of course, is leading. But there's almost a crazy lack of awareness on these areas. So how do you see this as someone that advises these intergovernmental organizations? And as well in terms of going from the theory to the practice, because like you said, a lot of this happen because, first of all, for instance, very basic stuff. And if I find something about the company, I'll find probably a very basic profile of some of the company or LinkedIn profile, but that doesn't tell me if the person is good or bad, or if there's a good reputation, if there's even a certification from the government, or even just if their company is a company that is in the company's house of the country, which most of the countries don't even have a digital company house. So how do you see this? I'm talking about, so blockchain, of course, solves a lot of problems and is already coming up with massive solutions, but we're talking about very basic stuff that are still not in place. So I would like to see how you see that, especially with COVID-19, that right now is accelerating this, but it's as well showing how fragile most of the governments are and not prepared for this.
From a government standpoint or from a country standpoint, most of the countries are actually just talking about it, and the implementation is going to be months or years down the road. You're not wrong about this, but do remember, in order for a country to adopt a certain technology nationwide, it's going to take time. So right now we are buying good time, because of COVID-19. A lot of things are actually, everyone is trapped at home. Some of them are are restricted, so a lot of all these ideas started to gather together more concretely and solidly in the past 3 to 6 months, actually. So I do see that there's a very good positive vibes, from various countries, in the South Asia, all the way to Southeast Asia. We do see that there are people trying their very best to see how we could make use of the technology to make themselves better, even during COVID and also after COVID. So, um, that is the government stand. Most of the governments right now, based on what I understand, they are perhaps a ballpark percentage, 80% of them are okay with the blockchain technology, and 20% of them are thinking that blockchain technology is redundant. All right. So some of my friends and even myself, we tend to push the agenda a lot harder to those countries who are okay and positive with blockchain. Push harder, let them experience the right kind of blockchain way of running the country or putting up the bill, while um, while all those countries who are not so receptive to blockchain technology, they find that it's a scam and all those things. We hope that through some proper promotion from those countries who actually are more pro to blockchain, hopefully through those connections, we can influence the other 20% to look at blockchain in a different light. So far, based on our footprint, on my footprint especially, most of them are okay with blockchain technology. But then, if you talk about cryptocurrency, then that will be a totally separate kind of a discussion. That's also the reason, when I told you, hey, I had a phone call, before talking to you, to one of the ministry, trying to tell them, how they could look at the current law and look at cryptocurrency differently, because a lot of them look at cryptocurrency as a way to replace the current fiat. And just to be honest, my talk with them has always been, no, please do not look at it from this angle. You should look at this from a technology standpoint at the very beginning, and then look at how cryptocurrency can work in a slightly separate environment or a separate asset class that can actually benefit your country. So that is a very long discussion that we had. It's a 1.5 hours of chat, and finally, they said, let's put a stop, because the forces, the whole denomination, most of them are fairly reluctant to look at cryptocurrency, and they think that it's not going to help them for the short term. So that is going to be a long conversation. And again, these are conversations that are always ongoing with some of these governmental bodies. And I do hope that things can change, when we can build on a nice portfolio, like you have mentioned. China is very much into the blockchain space, the blockchain technology space. South Korea, we have seen banks adopting blockchain technology for their clearing, and right now we have seen banks handling the custodianship of some of the main coins, within their bank and within their institution banking and so forth. So I'm glad to see that all this effort has actually put into the right place and right position and right time right now, where you see a lot more adoption, during the last 3 to 6 months, and in Singapore as well. You know it very well, that we have a very good regulation framework, to look at new technology like blockchain and also cryptocurrency. many companies actually registered themselves in Singapore and use Singapore as a base or as a headquarters. As long as you file your books properly, work within the guideline, Singapore is actually one of the best place to be at. When you operate a crypto or new business in a new environment. So Singapore is actually a nice crypto or blockchain heaven in Southeast Asia or even some say in Asia. So work that is being done right now has always been pro blockchain and pro crypto, and right in the beginning of our chat, this journey has just started. So we hope to see more good actors in this field, in this space, trying to push out the best agenda.
So one of the organizations that is probably one of the most impressive in your CV and profile is especially the Asian Productivity Organization, which is I didn't know much about it, but it's quite interesting as an inter-governmental regional organization established in 1961 that comprehends around 20 economies in Asia, which, let's be honest, Asia right now is driving the world economy. And as well, most of the world population is actually in Asia. If you look at between China, India, and most of Asia, we have probably 60 or 70% of the world population or even more. So in terms of this organization, and it's interesting because you've been working with them, and there's a recent article from yours where you look at integrating the blockchain tech. This is your title, integrating of blockchain technology with traditional industries. Could you tell us about this and how do you take this to these organizations? Because I think this is the way to go. And I think everyone listening to us should actually look at these ways, because I think, like you said, the only way to make sure this technology can change the world is making sure that governments understand them and business work together to actually use it as the right tools. So could you tell us about this work with this specific organization? It's a bit about this article and the way you see blockchain technology with traditional industries.
So if you look at the Asian Productivity Organization, the Inter-Governmental organization where they look at productivity, they look at Industrial 4.0, they look at the best way to help equip governments or even organizations how to better efficient, in some of the things that they are doing. And the last Secretary General, which is Dr. Santi from Thailand, he's a slightly different kind of a guy. He's a very futurist kind of a politician. He looks at blockchain as a good solution in the future that is going to help solve a lot of trust issue and security issues within Industrial 4.0 or even 5.0 in time to come, because there must be a layer or maybe a protocol that is like blockchain, interacting with machines or interacting with the different oracles and so forth to make sure that the data are safe and the security is there. So having said so, I do believe that agenda as well. And in fact, companies that I have talked to right now at this current moment, big companies especially, they are also looking at solutions to help them solve some of these trust issues and security issues within their organization. Because as you grow bigger, you will have more of such problems, less transparencies, and so forth. So a lot of these big companies are looking at this. So when we talk about the work that is being done within the government organizations and so forth, I try to keep it as simple as possible, because a lot of these initiatives, a lot of the people that I'm in contact with, I don't think they would want to be named in any of my interviews or even in writing, because some of these things are rather sensitive. So let me give you an overview, on how governments work is like, on blockchain and cryptocurrency. So typically, whenever a government want to find out usage of a certain technology, they have their own smaller working groups like a fintech group and so forth, or ministerial group that is dealing with finance technology kind of thing. So most of the Asian countries, they put blockchain and cryptocurrency in that space. So I've spoken to a lot of guys, good people as well in the monetary authorities in the region. They want us to tell them a few things. One, what can the blockchain technology do for them from a ministry standpoint? What can the blockchain technology do from a nation standpoint? All right. And then lastly, what can the technology do for some of the companies that they would like to put forth as a good pilot, trial, or even a actual implementation. So these are the three different levels of things that we do most of the time. And throughout this whole journey, the fun part about this is that sometimes the government guys or the ministries will then become a bit lukewarm, a bit say, this thing can be dragged, But eventually the third option, which is the third layer, which are the businesses who are more keen to look at how the technology can help their business. So at least for myself, most of the time, we go on a government level, and then the government will introduce some of the good businesses in, to look at how the implementation can be done, how AI or IoT or even some of these new initiative that they have, can merge with this technology. So eventually, some of the government guys will go, okay, it's going to take a long while, let's work on some paper and so forth. Then the businesses actually step up a lot, because the businesses want to know how this technology can help them. Just a very simple example. One of the companies came forth and say, hey, I want to do traceability and tracking of all my products that is manufactured in this what is this place? Sorry, in Philippines. Because they felt that a lot of their products are actually circulated in the market, with their branding, and it's not entirely authentic. So when they came forth, they are all very skeptical about the technology, how blockchain is going to work. And then after you tell them about how blockchain will work for them, they become very excited, because they want to solve the problem of having all this extra export or extra circulation of their product within the country itself, because it's a very big problem and it's a big revenue loss to them. So most of these businesses will then look at how this can be done, and then subsequently, of course, they are also looking at whether governments can give them some grants to pilot trial the technology, the software, and then from pilot trial, they will move to the actual implementation of the technology. So this whole process usually from the point of interaction to the point of pilot trial is usually about 3 to 6 months, and a lot of these are all ongoing, because work for technology is always changing, and a lot of these businesses who adopted technology like blockchain want to be updated as well, and they are constantly pushing. So one of which another businesses came back to look at using cryptocurrency as a form of loyalty point. So they are thinking out of the box right now, and like I told you, I'm trying to help them to see how this can benefit them as a business, and also how the government can help them, to cut down on some of the fundings, through grants or through some kind of industrial help as well. So this journey is very long, and again, we have just started the whole journey.
This kind of work with governments is the only way to look at, first of all, finding better ways, and that's why we create as well this podcast and as well the Citiesabc.com. So I have one question when it comes to blockchain technology. So blockchain technology, especially in coordination with the artificial intelligence, can actually create one of the best set of solutions for anything related with like the internet of trust that Don Scott has been mentioned, but as well the area of highlighting solutions in terms of identity. You mentioned supply chain, a lot of different things, but as well can be very dangerous if used for centralized systems, because if you use some of these things. So how do you see this work of, first of all, highlighting the use of technologies, just create awareness, because there's no awareness still enough at least, and at the same time working in a way that we create a meaningful solutions from both the blockchain technology and especially in relationship with artificial intelligence?
Just candidly, next week I'm actually speaking at the Asean Summit 2020 on the 16th, and coincidentally the topic is about AI and deep tech, and of course somewhat blockchain is going to be part of it. So based on what I see, artificial intelligence or AI is really going to help our lives and help in some part of our daily lives as well. Just quote you another example. There's a smart city project that is ongoing. They are looking at various technology to help improve lives and citizens within the smart city. And artificial intelligence is actually one of them. So imagine yourself coming back home, getting everything ready, your food is done, your laundry is washed, and all those things. They tend to have this very futuristic kind of outlook, within the smart city. But having said so, when you talk to the project owner, one of the taboo that is within their thought space is it really trustworthy enough for artificial intelligence or AI to learn what we need and then help us control all aspects of our life within the smart city. So such thoughts actually came out from the project owner, and I happen to be there as well. So I told them very specifically, whenever you talk about artificial intelligence, they learn what we do, through a different set of deep learning criteria. They know your habits, so forth and so on. It should be quite safe if it's not hackable, right? So if there's a chance to be hacked, so my take to them is then what kind of firewall do you have in place? What better solutions do you have right now? And then after a lot of different debates, on different with different committees, from an investment committee to the board and so forth, they then realized that, hey, how about putting it on the chain? Whatever habits or whatever whatever actions the artificial intelligence have to do must be validated on the chain before they can do anything. That is actually an added layer of trust and security that is provided to the homeowners and to the project owners. When they are talking about a totally intelligent city, intelligent city with intelligent artificial intelligence, very, very, very well shaped. In this manner where blockchain technology can safely slip into the whole framework and creating a good layer of trust. Again, the word to use, a layer of trust for everybody. So I do see that blockchain is not going to work alone. Um, if you have seen some of my videos, I always say this, in some of my presentation, a lot of people would say that the blockchain is going to change the world. But trust me, it's not blockchain alone that's going to change the world, because blockchain alone can't do much. All right. It is with the interaction with the different technology from IoT to AI to big data that forms better, secure ecosystem so that it can really grow bigger in collaboration with the rest of the people. And again, another example I want to share. Whenever people, some of the even bigger blockchain companies will say that, hey, if you use my technology, blockchain technology, I can assure that 99% of the things that you authenticate using my chain, is going to put you in the forefront. Everything that's on the chain, your products on the chain are going to be real. But trust me, this is not true, because as long as there's human interaction, there's definitely counterfeit. There's always human being trying to find a way, a gray area, where they could do something bad. They will smuggle some of the products out and all these things. So I told them blockchain technology is not going to create wonder, but blockchain technology is going to reduce the chances of having more fraud in the market, having more fake products in the market. So trust me, it is the interaction with the different technology that is going to create the true value of blockchain. So if you again look at some of the projects that are in the market right now, I think they overhype the technology piece, and that pisses me off actually, because if you want to use this as a speculative tool to attract investors, VCs, I do understand, but if you are going to run a software scam or even a Ponzi scheme like kind of a product, that is totally not blockchain, because blockchain technology itself is actually doing good. But if you are going to do bad using the technology and giving it a very bad name, we can't stop it. But we are trying our best within the communities, blockchain communities, to help improve the branding and the positioning of blockchain, and try to tell people the truth about the technology. So again, just to summarize, I think blockchain and the rest of the technology must work closely together to form a better ecosystem, and also to be part of our daily lives in the future.
You mentioned precisely cryptocurrencies, and you've been actually one of the evangelists and as well educators in a lot of different areas. And as well, Singapore has been, probably Singapore and South Korea are probably the most advanced countries in terms of usage of cryptocurrencies. I'm talking from a trading perspective, exchanges, especially South Korea. It's one of the countries that has more adoption of cryptocurrencies from their population. So how do you see this in terms of cryptocurrencies, and as well the present stage of cryptocurrencies? Because like you said, let's say between 2015 and 17, we had the cryptocurrencies that raised almost close to $1 trillion valuation, and it was around $700 billion. At the moment, we have around, I think, over 6,000 cryptocurrencies in the world, according to Coin Market Cap, and we have a valuation of around $350 to $400 billion. And of course, we are in the beginning, but we have, of course, mainstream things like Facebook and actually the Chinese government coming up with these on digital currency. So how do you see the cryptocurrency industry right now? And as well, the evolution from ICOs to STOs, and especially when it comes to the countries where you're based, because especially I think Singapore is the one with most regulatory part, but there's still a lot of work to be done. I would like to have your opinion overall in the industry.
I think you're right. In terms of the trading volume, South Korea is probably the highest in Asia. Also because a lot of these transactions are also backed by the Chinese. So that is also a very good strategic location, for South Korea. And you see a lot of Chinese actually in South Korea looking at the cryptocurrency, trying to do a lot of trading within this place. I think trading is a very separate thing to me, because whenever we talk about trading, a lot of speculation is being done. A lot are very similar to IPOs, options trading that be in the traditional market, but is like steroid. You put on a big steroid to it, and the trading volume and the trading price fluctuates a very big. So I think this kind of high speculative trading is going to stay for a long time. Why am I saying this? Is because if you look at how the bigger exchanges like Binance, even Huobi, OKEX, Coinbase, Gemini, and so forth, they are all into this. They create an environment for people to trade. Create a hype for people to trade, to speculate 100 times, 1,000 times. For some of these second tier exchanges as well. To me, this is going to stay. But is this going to be a very sustainable model? I personally felt that it's not a sustainable model, because there is obviously lack of governance and lack of compliance in some of these trading activities. Like the recent DeFi, people traded sushi, carrots, sun, a lot of all these products. All these things are just a fact. It's not sustainable. Because you do not channel enough revenue or profits to sustain such speculative activities. So I think it will continue in terms of the trading. I hope to see less of all these speculative coins that are in the market, because it's going to put a very bad name to cryptocurrency. Because you can see that the price of the coin at $10 early in the morning, and then in the evening it could be worth just 2 cents. All these things should be stopped, and it should be regulated. And that is how the cryptocurrency space is going to grow. With regulations, it's going to grow. With regulations, the bigger exchanges will actually become even bigger, because the regulations will help them bring in more retail investors and more people into the space. And if you can protect their investment in whatever manner, again, their market cap is going to triple, it's going to just skyrocket. So cryptocurrency space, in my humble opinion, is going to stay in this manner. But if you look at cryptocurrency space, it's also divided into different kind of usage. It can be a utility token, it can be a payment token, so forth and so on. The classification will expand. The different asset class will also be labeled in time to come, and that will also help cryptocurrency market to grow, because certain activities or a certain kind of tokens are actually more security-based than a utility-based, right? So we have to be in the right framework and right mindset to classify them properly so that they can grow. So in your question as well, you have mentioned about STO, securities token. I think in Singapore, there are a couple of licenses being issued for a registered market operator. Some of them are into the security space, tokenizing real estate tokens. Some of them are tokenizing artwork. Some of them are tokenizing vintage car and so forth. So a lot of all these activities are in the market. But again, the biggest issue that I have to highlight is there's a lack of liquidity. You just imagine, you have a real estate in maybe in Cambodia, if the Cambodians are not going to buy it, right? You package this into a STO project and try to sell small portions of it to other Asian people. It's not right, because the other Asians or the other investors are not dumb as well. They will do their due diligence, and they will know that, hey, if the locals are not going to buy it, that it is overpriced. Why should I go in? So there will be a very big liquidity issue. For some of these STO projects or even companies that is based in Asia. But having said so, the way to work around is to look at possibility of multi-listing. You can be listing in Switzerland, you could be listed in Malaysia and Singapore simultaneously. Perhaps that kind of model can give you more liquidity, more investors coming into the space. But then again, companies are very reluctant to do it because they are reluctant to share the pie. They are reluctant to share the client. To all the different to different countries and different operators. That would be a separate issue to come. So just again to sum up, I think the cryptocurrency space, the current format, current playbook is going to stay for a while. More governance is going to step up. More regulatory standards is going to be in place in the early 2021, based on what I know from some of the countries, and that would help reduce risk and also reduce complications from fraud and so forth. So that will reduce. Overall, it's still going to be a growing market, 100% growth.
Completely, and I think it's very good points you made here. So as the last question, and I think especially with your work around both the intergovernmental work around blockchain and emerging technologies, and as well with the different organizations, governmental organizations, especially in Asia, but as well worldwide, what would be the highlights that you give for business and organizations and governments as well that might listen to this? You've been interviewing some ministers, and you're going to be interviewing a lot of governments. From your experience working, what would be like, let's say, a blueprint to make sure that we can actually go forward on these things?
Let me put it this way. We from my own experience, there isn't a blueprint or a standard way that governments or even businesses must adopt. I think the main takeaway message that I want to share with you is the government or the businesses must find the right business advisor or the right blockchain expert to help them. Because I do see a lot of, not a lot, plenty, really, of wannabe blockchain experts who have not started their own projects before. They have not put their own money in projects, have not put their money in listing the project, have not put their own time and effort to manage a community, and certainly they have not looked at the regulatory pinpoints or pain points that is in the market, but they claim that they are experts. So what I want to share is, in order for government and businesses to work well, they must go to a set or group of experts that are really experts, all right? Not experts wannabe telling you rubbish and eventually getting the business into trouble. I think you have seen a lot of these guys in the market. So I hope the government, especially the government, should go to the right kind of expert to make sure that their agenda or their issues are rightfully addressed. And that should be the way forward, really the way forward.
I'm completely with you, and I think very good point. So last question is, where can people find you? Some things you highlight for the audience. So we're going to put, of course, all the links here in the interview on your YouTube channel, our podcast, and as well on Citiesabc. But just highlights where people can find you and read about you. I know that you have Medium, but just to understand different areas on your website.
I have a website called andy.com, www.anndy.com. I own this possibly for 20 years already. So you can get my data, my contacts, the work that I've done from that website, and I'm quite searchable actually. Very active on Twitter, LinkedIn, and so forth. I have quite a big following as well, on the social media. So the governments or even businesses, they can just drop me a message. I'm very friendly. I don't give advice for the sake of giving. I mainly want to make new friends and know new people along the process. So you can know more about me online. Just search my name, Anndy Lian. You can find easily on Google. For some of the people who are more like they like to read books and so forth, I also have a book titled Blockchain Revolution 2030, but sad to say is in the South Korean language, all right? But is a very good read on how I see or how we see the future of a blockchain is going to be like in the next 10 years. And just to be real honest, that book, the content itself is still very relevant in today's context, and it should be going in that direction in the next 10 years. And I hope next year I could publish an English one or even a Chinese version of the blockchain book with new content in it. So I'll share with you once I get that.
Thank you so much, Andy. I think there's a lot of questions I have, but I think we've been 1 hour, so we appreciate your time, and congratulations for all the fantastic work you've been doing, and as well I think the insights you've been bringing to the blockchain industry, especially in Asia, but as well worldwide. Thank you.
No problem. It's my pleasure meeting you, and hope to interact more with you, and stay in touch, man. You got my number.
Completely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.